Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of LLG's Random But Real, where we have conversations about any and all things random with an entree, not a side dish, of mental health advocacy. I use my performance, communication, and literary art skills to bring awareness about mental health and other topics. Therefore, whether I'm speaking, singing, writing, it's my desire that my words will be melodic, just like music to your ears. As you know, the thoughts or the comments that are made on this show are of my own and or Erica's, or if we have guest hosts, theirs, and it's not meant or intended for professional guidance. If you need a counselor or something here is said and you need additional therapy, please seek it. If you need referrals, please feel free to reach out and I will gratefully refer you to some people that are able to help you through whatever process it is that you might be experiencing. And of course, if you're in danger, then please call 911. All right, you all. So I am Lisa, one singing lady Gilliam. And of course, we have my guest host, Erica, this season, Erica Wingate.
Hello, everyone.
Y'all, I can't lie, I'm tired today. We pre-record this. I had 2.5 hours of sleep last night, so I am exhausted, but I am pushing through. And I'm grateful because I texted Erica. I was like, I gotta take a 30-minute nap because I don't think I would have made it. I even talked to somebody on the way home so I could make sure that I stayed awake and alert. So thank God I made it back here. If you were listening to part one last week, well, I should say 2 weeks because we share it every 2 weeks. I would just want to say a trigger warning because of the topic that we're speaking about. And basically, it's called Rape and Molestation, Part Two. And as you know, I use this platform often to share about my own experiences, just so that other people can be healed. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing a lot more of as we talk about that, I know it's going to show up backwards, but hold on. 21 Days. This is my book and Tracy Unworley's book. And I talk about my experiences in there. We're actually going to have Tracy on the show again really soon. And so we're going to dive into some more relationship stuff, but that's going to be the focus. Mental health can affect every aspect of our life. So I'm still a mental health advocate, but I really just want to talk more or speak more about relationships. Or sexual assault awareness, and that's also including molestation, sexual abuse, rape, maybe even domestic violence. A lot of them have some similarities or cross patterns that take place, and just want to encourage people to be okay about speaking out about the things that have happened to them, so that they don't live in a place of I'm trying to think of the word. It's not so much not healing, but just in a place of bondage because they're being quiet. They feel the need to keep quiet. And I often hear people say, well, I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to affect other people. And I used to be that person. And now I'm like, sorry that that affects you, but it's freeing me. And so at some point I had to put myself first. And last show we were talking about this topic, and one of the things that you mentioned, Erica, was that your prayer for me is that I would no longer be triggered. And after the show, I was telling you that I felt some kind of way about that. And not that I thought that you said it to be negative, or I know it was from a great place, but I realized for me, I don't think that every trigger is a bad thing. I think triggers, if you think about a gun, that's where we pretty much get the analogy from. Um, Guns aren't all bad. Some people might think they are, but they've also saved a lot of lives too. I think when power or the use of things such as a gun, when you're not in the wrong situations, that it can be a negative thing. But if you're aware, you're using it, like some people feel safer having that weapon in their home to protect their family, or they feel safer when they're able to carry it. And, they know that they have it on them. Does it always work for our benefit? I can't say. But I do believe for me, knowing that seeing this guy that raped me, um, all those years ago triggers me in a way that I wouldn't expect. It puts me on a different heightened awareness, and it actually lights a fire under me to want to talk about sexual assault awareness more.
Mhm.
Whereas if I wasn't triggered by it, if I just saw him and it was all like, you know, any other situation, I probably would kind of be different. So I wrote a little note to myself with it. I said I was going to share. Like I said, I don't think that all triggers are bad, but I believe that it's what is triggering you, um, knowing that, like the reason for it, why it's triggering you, and not ignoring it and being able to
Mhm.
speak up. Um, because he never really pans out. Like in all my experience as a former counselor, educator, I've never seen a time where someone kept quiet and it worked out in their favor. That's just from experience, my experience.
Mhm.
Eventually, it comes out in the wash. Something happens and it comes out. Sometimes it's after death. You know what I mean? Sometimes, and it
Mhm.
leaves. What it does is that the person who was feeling that way may not have to experience it, but then the aftermath of whoever's left behind after the
Right.
secret comes out, it usually causes other concerns. And so, we're talking about triggers. Would you like to share anything about what I just said?
Yeah. So, in our conversation last time after we spoke, I know that, I apologized or told you I didn't intend to offend you. And words are powerful. The connotation that we all take on to a word, even knowing the meaning or the definition of it, how it sounds. And so perhaps I used the wrong word. And even this next word I'm about to use might not be the right word, right? So I have to say it and see how you feel about it. But I think what I was trying to convey is that, I pray that you will get your healing, right?
Mhm,
So that because things happen to us, things that are not good, things that are not pleasant in our lives. And we have to carry those things, throughout our life. But there's a way that we carry them, right? We can carry them in a healed way, or we can carry them in an unhealed way where it causes us different things. I
mhm,
don't want to put names to it, but for example, it could cause us stress. It could cause us anxiety. It could cause us, unhealed trauma, whatever it is that we've gone through in our own lives, right? And so I feel like, if I take myself back to that conversation, what I was trying to say in that moment is that because you do share your story and you do seek to help deliver others, who've experienced it and not be in silence, that I think my prayer for you is that when you talk about it, or if you have to see him, at a homecoming again, that it doesn't create all of those ill feelings within you, but make you be more empowered,
mhm.
and make you, in this journey that you're in, um I think just empowered is I don't want to search for a different word. I think I like the way that one feels. So, for that, I hope that you can take my words and not be upset or offended by them, but embrace them for the good intent that I mean them to be.
Right. I mean, I know you. I know that you didn't mean any ill will. For the record, I am healed. I would not be able to speak about it if I couldn't. I do feel empowered. However, when I see him, I'm still triggered. I don't know that I will ever see him and not remember what that day was like, especially because it was a Labor Day weekend. Labor Day comes every year. Like, even if I don't want, now I don't remember what specific date it was, I can look on the calendar and just go
Yeah.
back, and find it out. But I think it's going to be what it's going to be. But it is because I'm triggered that I am more empowered to share my story with other people,
Mhm.
because I've heard so many people, like I said, that are quiet about it because they're more concerned about how other people might be. Um, and even my family member that stopped speaking to me because they're like, their child isn't here to defend themselves. I wouldn't ask them to defend their child anyway. I would just go and confront their child if their child was still here for me to confront. Um, and my intent of sharing it with them was, like I said, not to carry the burden myself. The reality is, it did happen. The language was inappropriate. And why is this a pattern in our family? So it's a bigger issue or story or concern, far more than what he particularly did, or the other cousins who actually I know did something more than just verbal. Um, I think that no one wants to talk about this topic. And
Mhm.
I think that part of my calling is breaking the silence and encouraging people. It may not be on a platform like this. This takes a lot more courage than people are willing to
Right.
sometimes say. However, um, I think it's okay to encourage people to have those quiet conversations with their family members. Doesn't mean it's going to turn out. I wouldn't have thought that my cousin would have cut me off like that, but it's okay
Yeah.
because I felt 50,000 times better by sharing my truth than continue to see the person and act like nothing ever happened.
Right. So I was thinking about it, and wondering, am I trying to make a connection or is there a slight connection? So you know that I do a little segment in my church service on our youth led Sunday, which for this month was moved from the fourth Sunday to yesterday, second
Mhm,
Sunday.
mhm,
Um, and the topic that we did was based on the song by Jelly Roll, the country singer, My Cross.
mhm,
I was not familiar with the song. It was brought to our attention by our pastor. He thought it would be a good topic for us to address. And if anyone does not know the song, I do encourage you to listen to it for yourself, to hear the words and understand what I'm saying. The basic premise of the song is Jelly Roll acknowledging that he carries a lot of his own traumas and sins that he does not want to pass on to his child. And so the discussion, the way we came at it in our segment, was just that as in parenting, and this is again, no matter what kind of parent you are, you
mhm,
can be a natural parent, an adoptive parent, a godparent, a grandparent, right? Anyone who, impacts a child, middle school, high school, adult in a parenting type way. And this is kind of who we're talking to. But in our parenting, um, we sometimes put things onto the children that weren't theirs to bear. And so, as you were talking about your cousin not wanting to hear it, and then saying why your family is like that, I mean, I thought, just of my family as well. And that is something, unfortunately, that as family we do. We put things on people, or we allow things to happen in the family that we don't talk about or we don't deal with, and then we expect healthy to come from it, right? And I don't know where that started. I don't want to say it's a black thing. It's a people thing, right? Any culture, any group of families can do this, but our experience is our black community, right? Like that's what our experience is. That's what we know.
mhm,
For the longest time, right? Black people not even wanting to go to therapist. What happens in our house stays in this house. You don't tell nobody about what goes on in our house. Going to school, you can't talk to nobody. These are the things that we have done, but you and I both know just how freeing it can be able to have someone who's probably, just got some good education and tools, behind them, to have someone work through things, that we're dealing with, and freeing ourselves sometimes is the only way that we can then free the next generation. Or the following generation.
mhm.
So that's what it made me think of.
Okay, I don't know the song. I may have heard it, but I don't know the song. I'll check it out. But I do think that oftentimes, I mean, the thing is, Jesus tells us to, take up his cross.
Hmm.
And he talks about how his yoke is easy and burden is light. But a lot of times we continue to hold on to our stuff for other people as opposed to giving it to him. So I can honestly say I've given this to him, but like I said before, most people don't have to continuously see the person who hurt them.
Hmm.
Um, I know that when I go certain places every year in my family, I could possibly run into these individuals that, molested me or sexually abused me. I think what hurts me though is that there are moms who are aware, or even my family members who are aware, never check in to see if I'm good in that moment. The way triggers work, you know, you could be fine and then not. Like we've talked about it oftentimes, like with grief,
Hmm.
one thing can happen, and next thing you know, it's like waterworks or whatever. Not that you plan to cry, what I'm
Right.
saying, that day or whatever, but the triggers that we have for that is no different than we have, for me, in the individual that's done what they've done. I'm also just at a place where, it's crazy. I have to be careful because I can't have, defamation, but this is real. It really did happen to me.
Right.
And I tell you, everybody, like, thank goodness for Tracy and Morley, because I was putting real names in my book and I did not care about defamation. I contacted a lawyer. I let them know. And if they had sued me, then that's what would have happened. But, uh, you know, I know I was telling the truth
Hmm.
and it would have been out. It takes a lot to, because I was not the person, in college that I am now. And I did not speak up then. And I think that's another reason why I do speak up now. You're not going, you can't silence me.
Yeah.
Can't get me to be quiet. I won't tell anybody else to be quiet. Um, I will always encourage people to tell their truth, but understand, yeah, when it's just like a whistleblower in, government or secrets, politics or whatever. Once you share this, yeah, there are definitely going to be changes. And you
Hmm.
have to be open to deal with whatever that might be, what might come with that. But the freedom from knowing that you're not carrying the thing by yourself,
Yeah.
nothing like it.
Yeah.
Like it.
And
So,
so certainly not to make excuses, for the family or whatever, but I'm thinking that even sometimes a family member who doesn't want to hear the truth or doesn't want to resolve it because they've got their own stuff
mhm,
that they've not healed from or dealt with, right?
mhm,
And so it's easier to keep it all like, I'm not coming clean, you can't come clean either.
mhm.
Kind of,
Let them stay in bondage because that's
yes,
all it does. I
yes.
can't control, I have this thing on my wall. It talks about the things I can control and the things that I
Hmm.
can't control. My words, my actions, my play, my mistakes, my behavior. I have made a lot of really poor mistakes because of things that have happened to me, but I don't, um, even though it's related, it was still my decision.
Yeah.
I don't blame, it's no excuse for some of the dumb things. And I'm really hard on myself. I might not be as hard on somebody else as I am on myself,
Hmm.
but really made some dumb decisions, some poor decisions. And I think that's why I'm just at a place now where I'm just not trying to stay into anything that isn't beneficial, with me moving forward with my
Yeah.
life. Um, that I mean, and so, you know, I, I might see him next year. I'm ready. And this time, like my cousin said, my other cousin was down there. Shout out to Clint. He was just like, you should say something to him. You know, like, it's not like I don't know what you did. It's not like you don't know what you did. We both know. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
You did apologize. If you all read the book, and I hope that you do, go cop 21 Days. It's a good read.
Yeah,
Erica
it
said
is. It is. I
so.
enjoyed it.
Thank you. But it lets you know kind of what the experience was. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
um, I might just read a little bit from the book so that they know what I'm talking about. Um, but did you want to say anything while I'm looking for?
Well, I was just gonna say, time is. My kids say it all the time. They say time is not real. But what I've realized is it's been 35 years, 34, 35 years since I've graduated from college. Um, and certainly, like you said, we're different people than we were then. And that's probably a good thing, right? We're not different in a bad way. And you should be different, right? So I would like to think, but of course, this is my mindset. I would like to think that he is a different person and could own up to, bad behaviors at an age, not that it was okay, not that it was okay, but at an age where people probably weren't putting better thought into behaviors, generally speaking, right? Generally speaking. Um, but I don't know. And
But
I don't
that's the irony, he apologized. It was what he did, and I don't talk about that a lot, but what he did after the apology,
mm,
that's the problem,
mm,
and I will leave that because I didn't even put that in the book. That's something that I might talk
okay.
about, like if it's a
Oh,
small, I think I might have shared with you, but a small aspect of things. Because now some people do know who he is just because you can put two and two together. You can see how my body language is when he's there. I usually let my friends know. Again, shout out to Tonya because she checked on me that whole night to make sure I was good. I'm just going to read an excerpt
mhm,
from the book. As basketball player, so unique, right? The name. Walked me back to my dorm. I was quiet. Maybe I was in shock, but I had pretty much decided that there was no way I could press charges, not against him, the well known basketball player. In addition to that, I did not think anyone would believe me if they found out that I stated a complete sentence but was not able to scream. How could I explain that? I didn't want to deal with the press or any court case. I literally had only been in college for less than 1 month at that point. I was attending my university to get an education. I was not there to get raped. When I returned to my dorm, my friends asked me how my evening was. I covered my pain by laughing and telling them I had fun and that he kisses well. Yes, I did lie about having fun and what I thought about his kisses so that they would not ask any more questions about the evening. Inside, I was torn about reporting it and I wanted to take a shower. I felt so ashamed and stupid. Going to that university was supposed to be the beginning of the rest of my life, so to speak. And there was absolutely nothing that was going to change that. While I was in the shower, tears began rolling down my cheeks. I tried to wash the pain I felt down the drain and remembered each terrifying action. The emotional scars that took place because of the rape were so painful. As I cried myself to sleep, I became aware just how much that rape could have affected the rest of my life. And that's just a form of a little part of it. Again, you'll learn more if you actually read the book. The interesting thing about this, I guess, excerpt, I talk about how I cover my pain by laughing. You know, we often say something or do something to move away from how we really feel. And I've noticed that even as an adult, like I say, it's really easy for me to say, it's okay. I'm okay when I'm not. And so that's
mhm,
why if I'm triggered for the rest of my life when I see him, at one point I need to be like, nope, it's not okay. It's not okay. I don't know what it's going to be like when I see him, but I don't allow it to stop me from having fun. I had a ball. I danced my butt off that night. It was great. They played some go-go. Lisa's there, y'all. I
mhm,
love go-go.
I love go-go too.
You know, and I won't allow that to happen. But when I'm looking or when I saw the picture, that one my friend was a photographer took of him and another person, I was just like, and the crazy thing, we're going to be talking about dialectical thinking, and I feel like I can still say he is attractive, and I cannot stand the fact that he did what he did to me. Still both true. And it's almost like, how could this person that looks like this, not to say that there's a look, do
Mhm,
something like this
mhm,
to me? And the fear of not wanting to share that with multiple people at the time. Like, it took me years to really, really talk about it. My roommate, shout out to Jamila, was the only one that I told, I think on campus. And it was hard. He was really comical. I would see him different places on the yard and have to act like he was still this funny person when I knew what it was. But I realize now that I did the same thing in my relationships, which was the learned behavior I was talking about with my cousin. I would
Mhm.
cover stuff up. I would do things I did not want to do. You can read between the lines because I did not want to be raped again. Um, I would try to make things, or go slow and find myself in the situations and end up giving in when I didn't want to. Um, or just putting myself in situations where I'm like, this is not even what I want, but staying there because that was what I thought I could get. That was the best I could get.
Mhm.
And so for anybody that's ever felt like that, whether you've been raped or molested or abused or gone through domestic violence, I just want you to know that God loves you. He loves us. And nothing is impossible for him. So the healing that Erica was talking about, like I have really experienced that. I can openly talk about this and sometimes I'm great. And then I can openly talk about it and sometimes I'm so mad that this happened to me. And I wonder if it would have changed who I became. Now I might start crying, y'all. But I'm so grateful that God knew I was going to be strong enough to be able to share this story with
Mhm.
other people so that they can be healed. Um,
Mhm.
it's a process. It's definitely a process. And although I would not want this to happen to anybody, I'm going to keep on talking about it so that people don't have to live in this quiet bondage state of
Mhm.
mind, you know? Um, it's a book. I can't remember the guy's name called Emotional Prisoner. And I just don't want people to live in that emotional prison state of mind.
Yeah.
It's time to release whatever it is. And your story might be not, it may not be telling, like I said on a podcast,
Mhm.
talking about it. I may have to, like we talked about streaming live, it may have to happen just because want to reach as many people as possible, see as many people as possible healed when it comes to this topic and just being triggered. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. It is. And even, with my parents' segment at church yesterday, I mean, we talked about, the healing that has to happen within an individual in order to impact, from a parental perspective, in order to impact your children. Like I myself have to be, I'll make it personal, right? Like I myself have to be healed in order for my children to be healed from the things I brought to the table. They're going to
Mhm,
get their own stuff. They're going to have their
mhm,
own things that come their way. But I brought some things into their life just by being who I am
mhm,
and our experience together. And if I don't have healing, they're not likely to have the complete healing. They can initiate some healing on their end, and that might look like separating themselves from me. Now, this is not my story with my children, but I'm using myself as the example. If I
mhm,
have harmed them in such a way, they might need to separate themselves from me so as to prevent future harm to them. And they would have that right to do that. One of the biggest things that my children, their generation, I think they do differently than we did is they don't take that familial title to heart. So just because I'm the mother, if I have mistreated them or done them wrong, they don't feel obligated to love me and be around me and deal with me because I'm the mother. If
mhm,
I'm the person causing them hurt and harm, this this generation, they'll separate themselves from that.
mhm.
And people are going to feel differently about that and look at that, from both perspectives. But I get it.
Yep. I mean,
I
I've
get
done
it.
it with my family at a time, and it is what it is.
Hmm.
Like the word says, "When my mother and father forsake me, then the Lord will take me up." Thank God it was my mother or father. Well, I mean, if you go to and listen to my music, Choosing to Forgive was about the relationship with my dad. Thank God I did forgive him prior to his death and we were good, but we definitely had a strained relationship at times. you know, but I know me, if we had not or he died like that, I probably would have been like messed up just because of the person I am. But I have had to separate myself from family so that I could have my healing. But it is what it is. But with that being said, is it one last closing remark you want to say?
I would just say that again, for any woman who has walked that path, hopefully she is in a space and a place where she can use her voice if necessary, and that she has people in her corner who support her as well. Like that would be my hope and prayer, because we already talked about the statistic and just the likelihood. What was it? One in six
Six,
women?
I believe it was.
1 in 6 women. So just within our own little circles, we know someone has been affected, right?
Right.
And so just
Mhm.
sending love and light to all us women
Absolutely. And then
and
that
men
was
who,
gone through it.
legitimately, yes.
Absolutely. That statistic was from rain.org, RAINN.org, if you all want to visit the website. So, I would leave you with this. If you can relate to any of this that we've shared and you never sought therapy, I would encourage you to do it.
Hmm.
It can be a phenomenal tool to get the help, the tools that you need to process through. Sometimes the hardest part is just admitting where you are in the situation. And you can find us. We want you to listen to our podcast on Amazon, Apple, iHeartRadio, Podvine, Spotify, and YouTube. If you type in my name, it'll show up, or LLG's Random But Real. On YouTube, it shows up under my actual page, which is spelled out as One Singing Lady. Um, and that's ONESINGINGLADY. And, let's connect. So follow me on social media, One Second Lady on Facebook, Instagram. Facebook might also have my whole name, Lisa L. Gilliam, TikTok, X, or stream my music and spoken word on. You can find the links on my website, www.lisalgilliam.com. And if you're interested in us coming to talk about this, I am not opposed to sharing this story live in women's groups and things like that. That's really my passion. That's where I'm leading towards. That's part of the reason, I feel like God kind of let me write the book, is to have this tool to be able to share these things with. And if God can deliver me and heal me, He's not a respecter of persons. That means He can do the same thing for you. So we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for this opportunity. All of them are not going to be so heavy. Some will be a little bit lighter, but I definitely wanted to address it since I had, recently gone through the situation. It is LLG's Random But Real. So we just kind of come up with things, and, they're not planned. We don't know what we're saying pretty much throughout the show, but have just a general knowledge of the topic. But if you want to hear specific topics, please reach out to me and let me know, and we can, you know, try to talk about it. Okay. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Erica. Uh,
Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa One Singing Lady. Gilliam out.
Erica out.